Welcome to the Susan Brender Show. It's all about you. Featuring shows on health and wellness, the performing arts, politics, and people who inspire you to be your very best. And now, here's Susan Brender.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Today, I have on my show Andrea Stenberg. She's a social media marketing consultant and a coach to baby boomer entrepreneurs. She represents consultants, coaches, service professionals to stand out in a crowded market, position themselves as an expert, and to get clients calling them using LinkedIn and other online marketing tools. I want to welcome to my show Andrea Stenberg.
Hi, Susan. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, you have so much under your belt with regard to the baby boomer. You want to help them in many ways. So I want you to tell the audience about what it's like to be an award-winning blogger at thebabyboomerentrepreneur.com.
Well, one of the things, there's a couple of things I love about it. One is no 2 days in a row are the same for me. Each day is different. There's the blogging where I'm writing about social media marketing to help my baby boomer audience, navigate these waters. But the real thrill for me is when I'm working with a client, helping them design their social media strategy and, getting them started, and then they'll email me or call me and say, Andrea, I did what you said, and I just got a new client. And that to me is the best thrill, because that's why I got into doing this, is to help people grow their businesses. And that just makes my day when I hear one of those phone calls or get one of those emails.
Andrea, you have one of the top 5% most viewed LinkedIn profiles. Now, that's pretty good. How did you do that?
Well, when I first started on LinkedIn, I was like probably most people, I got an invitation, kind of looked over the site and kind of went, oh, this is great. It's a social media site for grown-ups. I don't have to share photos of my dinner or cat videos. But, I got on, created a profile, and then I sat there and went, I don't get it. I don't get what to do now. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of went that way for a while, and then one day something lit a fire on me. I'm not sure what, but I just decided, you know what? I'm a smart, educated woman. I'm a marketing professional. I have a university degree. I should be able to make this work.
Yeah.
So I set a goal for myself. I said, 6 months, I am going to learn how to manage LinkedIn. And one of the things I did is I spent an hour, 2 hours a day searching the site, looking at how things, trying things out. And I picked up the phone and started calling people. Like if I saw somebody doing something interesting, I'd call them and say, hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. Tell me about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I learned all kinds of interesting strategies. And within a couple of months, I was hooked. I can't imagine running a business without LinkedIn. And so I'm using LinkedIn regularly. I update my profile. I connect to people. I participate in groups. I publish articles. I do all the things that I teach my clients to do. And I've worked on growing my network strategically. And that's really what's led to me getting viewed by my potential audience, is just doing what I teach my clients to do and being consistent. And, I don't spend hours and hours a day anymore on LinkedIn, but I'm on it regularly and I'm consistent with what I do.
Now, Andrea, for those people in the audience who really don't know what LinkedIn is, would you give them an idea and define what it is? I mean, because a lot of people, they know social media and they know Facebook, but LinkedIn is not that, most people are not that knowledgeable about it. So explain it to them.
Well, LinkedIn is a social media platform for business professionals. It's when it first started, it really was just an online resume, but it has grown way beyond that. So it's a place where you can promote yourself, your business. You can connect with business professionals, whether it's colleagues, whether it's customers, whether it's people you hope will become customers. Certainly there's a whole segment on LinkedIn of employees, people who are looking for work, and employers who are trying to connect with them. But there's a whole section of business owners, business professionals who are using it to build their business, grow their business, and promote themselves. But the nice thing about it is everybody is there for business purposes. Nobody is there to share cat videos, and you don't have to, talk about what you ate for dinner. It's a professional networking environment online, and that's what's so attractive to particularly, I think, baby boomer entrepreneurs, because it feels more natural.
Right.
For those of us who are professional and have been in the workforce for many years, it feels more natural to keep that professionalism rather than on Facebook or Instagram or some of those other places where it's a little more, personal and a little more freewheeling.
Right.
LinkedIn, it's sort of like, Facebook is you in jeans and a T-shirt, and LinkedIn is you in a suit.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, over 3,000 Twitter followers you have. Now, again, I want you to explain what is a Twitter. A lot of baby boomers, I don't think, know how to Twitter or tweet, as they say. So you have over 3,000, so you must have figured it out. What is Twitter?
Yeah. Well, Twitter is, it's referred to as a micro-blogging platform. And basically, if you've been on Facebook where you do status updates, that's pretty much all Twitter is status updates. Only the difference is you've got a very short amount of space to say your message. In fact, you only have 140 characters. So that includes spaces, that includes punctuation. You have 140 characters. So you have to get to the point really quickly. When Twitter first started, that's all it was that 140 characters. As it's grown and expanded, you can now attach a photo to a tweet, or you can attach, one of the things that's really popular is a GIF, which is sort of like a little teeny tiny mini video clip, or a moving, little moving picture that lasts for a few seconds, and you can have some video clips as well. And it's a little bit odd at first because, I'm a writer, and I'm used to writing hundreds or thousands of words. So the idea of 140 characters, I thought, how can I say anything of value in that teeny tiny little space?
Yeah, tell our audience how to do that, because it's very difficult, I'm sure.
Well, one of the things I found is using Twitter actually made me a better writer, because I had to be very concise. I had to, what is exactly the message that I want to say in this little teeny tiny space, and how can I say it in the most effective way possible? So it's about sharing information. So, for example, for me as a marketing consultant, one of the things I know is the people who are following me on Twitter want to know how to be better marketers, how to run their business. So I share tips, and a tip that I can say really quickly in 140 characters, or maybe I share a link to an article somewhere on the web, and then I do a little brief description of why I think that they might find that of value. So it's sharing information and tips. Some of the people I follow are kind of really tech people who kind of embrace new technology, are the first people to try things, and then I can see what they're doing and go, oh, that looks like something I want to try, or oh, that's not of no value to me, and then I can test things out and pass those along to my followers. So,
Andrea, let me, before you continue to say what you're saying, I want to know, before all the social media was available, people had to find jobs, and they had to do many things to be recognized. Now, how did they do it without all of this social media? Because people got jobs. They did, they moved, and they became movers and shakers, if you will. But they didn't have Twitter. They didn't have Facebook. They didn't have any of these social medias. So, what do you think? How did they do it without it?
Well, there was certainly, you had to do a lot more face-to-face. You had to, get out of your office and go and shake hands and meet people, which you still have to do, but the social media can complement that. And for businesses, they had to do a lot more, run an ad in the newspaper or run a radio ad. And, people are still doing that as well, but the social media allows you to reach an audience in a different way, reach people that you probably wouldn't be able to reach. For example, you and I would probably not have met before the internet and before getting out there and putting my name out there. We would not have met because we're not in the same city. So it broadens your reach. It certainly makes things sometimes a little more challenging, because whereas before it was either face-to-face or on the phone or sending a letter, and now there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's texting, there's all kinds of different ways to connect. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you feel like you're a juggler juggling all these different ways to talk to your potential customers.
Yeah.
But it allows you to really find your tribe, your ideal client, your ideal audience, in a way that you couldn't before. You just have to learn the strategies and pick something. I'll have people go, there's so many things, how do I manage it all? And I always think, don't manage it all. Pick one or two and get really good at them, and don't worry about the rest. Because nobody can do it all.
That's true. Now, you offer a free report. It's called 4 Ways to Quickly Get New Clients from Social Media. Now, I want you to tell our audience what's in that. That free report sounds like it could give people a lot of information. Am I right?
Yeah, it's something. It's got some really practical strategies for getting online and taking some action so that you can actually get clients, because that's the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs have with social media is, I can be online and I can have followers and I can have people, liking my stuff, but how do I get somebody to actually give me money? And so there's 4 simple strategies, and there's a couple of them that I'm certain most of your audience has never even thought of before. And the idea is you should be able to implement them quickly. It's not something where you have to go and get a PhD in social media.
Right.
You should be able to pick one of them and say, okay, I'm going to implement it in the next week and start the process to get new clients.
Now, Andrea, share at least one tip for the audience.
Well, one strategy is using LinkedIn, and it's something that it's open to everybody on LinkedIn, but not everybody knows about it, and even people who know about it don't use it, and that's publishing full-length articles on LinkedIn, as if it was a blog, and then that's around your expertise. So it lets people know a little bit about what you know. Maybe it's something, that your clients struggle with that you help them with, and you can give them a little bit of information, and then at the bottom, you invite people to either connect with you on LinkedIn or to, if you have a free report like my free report, invite them to come and get it or invite them to give you a call. And it's amazing if you're strategic about this, how it can really help you reach new audience and reach people who are actually looking for whatever the service it is that you provide. And then they go, oh, wow, look at all this information that this person has put out there. It's for free. Imagine what they're going to do for me when I pay them.
Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting, and also it's not only interesting, but it's valuable. Now, let's talk a little bit about Facebook, because Facebook is a very successful social media tool. Even though teenagers and young people use it for, you explained before, you said for showing pictures, doing, kind of talking to each other, but for entrepreneurs and baby boomers, how does Facebook, what's the scenario for them? Should they use it, and how did they use it?
Well, first of all, I will say not everybody should be using LinkedIn or Facebook. The first thing to do is know, is your audience, is your customers using Facebook? Now, odds are at least some of them are, because Facebook is the big giant of social media. I think there's over 1 billion users. There are people who are on Facebook who check their Facebook messages more than they check their email. So odds are your customers are there, some of them. However, if you would rather have a root canal than use Facebook, then you shouldn't be using Facebook, because if you hate it that much, you're not going to be consistent and you're not going to get the kind of results that you want, because you're just going to keep putting it to the bottom of your to-do list or putting it off. And when you do get on Facebook and you find like, oh, I have to do it, you're just not going to have the enthusiasm that you need to really get results. So if that sounds like you, don't go on Facebook, go on LinkedIn, go on some other site. But if Facebook doesn't faze you or you're already using it personally, there's a few things that you can do. One is there is pages. Facebook has business pages for business people. Celebrities have them. All sorts of businesses have a page. So you can create a page, create a professional presence for yourself on Facebook, and start posting similarly to what you would do on your personal profile, but you're posting about things related to your business and things that your potential customers are going to find of interest or of value. Because if everything you're posting sounds like an ad, they're just going to ignore you, or they're going to not pay attention to you, because online it's really easy for them to click a button and say, okay, I'm not following you anymore.
Now, hold on, Andrea. I gotta ask you this. A lot of people that I know who are baby boomers, when I mention to them Facebook, you have to see their face. I mean, it twists and it turns. It's like, oh no, you want me to go on Facebook? Facebook is for kids, and I don't want to tell people all about me. I don't want them to know about my business. It's dangerous. Now, when people say that, so what do you say to that?
Well, a few years ago, I heard an interview with Alda, and he had just written a book that was about when he was growing up and a family member who had mental illness. And the interviewer said to Alda, wow, this is a really personal book. Why did you make it so personal? And Alda said, well, of course it had to be personal, because otherwise it would be, who would read it? It would be boring, because it would just be a textbook. Right. And he said, however, there are parts of the story that I did not tell in the book because they were private, and they weren't my story to tell, so I didn't tell them. And that's the key with Facebook and any online activities, is you have to sit down with yourself and say, okay, what are things that are personal about me or my business that I'm willing to share, and what are things that are private that I'm never going to share?
Right.
And that's what you have, the conversation you have to have. And that line is different for everybody. For example, I see a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners who, as part of their marketing, will put pictures of their kids and say, oh, this is little Johnny's 4th birthday, and here's a picture of him blowing out his cake, birthday candles, isn't that cute? On the other hand, never share that kind of information about my son. I'm a mother, and I do talk about being a mother, and I talk about my son, but I don't share a photo of him. I don't say his name, and I only hint around at his age because, well, first of all, he told me if I used his name or his photo, I have to pay him a royalty. But the real reason is in this day and age, I don't feel comfortable about putting my son out there, and when he's old enough to make the decision to do it himself, then he can do it, but I'm not going to do that. So that was my line of between personal and private. I talk about the fact that I'm a mother, but I don't share that personal information about him.
Right.
And so the way I think I see it is when you're marketing yourself on Facebook, think about if you go to a networking event. Say the Chamber of Commerce has one of those mixers and you go to it. When you talk to people you meet there, you don't just say, okay, I sell this product and this is how great it is. You talk about yourself and your life. So but you don't get into the deep, intimate details of things that are going on in your personal life. You just share some kind of superficial things or things that you don't mind the world knowing. A networking event. Now,
Andrea, sorry to interrupt you, but you just said something that is extremely interesting to me. You say you don't share all these intimate details, but nevertheless, if you use Facebook, it is a very valuable tool, it sounds like. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so now Think about this one. A lot of countries around the world now are on Facebook too, and the people that are getting on are doing some very bad things. I mean, think about this. If you have an opportunity to reach out to the world through Facebook, you can find out about almost anything. Now, you said be vague, which is good. Be vague. However, many people can't be vague because they don't realize that Facebook can be a very dangerous tool. Now, what do you say to that? Because think about all the problems we're having around the world. Do you want people to know and to understand who you are?
Well, I mean, yes, it can be a dangerous place. However, if you're smart, it doesn't have to be. I'm on all sorts of social networks. Everything I have is public, meaning, for example, on your personal Facebook, you can set the privacy settings so only people who you're friends with can see you. I have mine wide open. So if you and I are not Facebook friends, you can go to my personal Facebook page and see everything I'm posting because I'm thinking of it as networking and business. I have my name plastered all over the Internet, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've had things happen as a result of my social media activity where I'm like, that's a little off. Mm-hmm. And usually, like a couple of times I've had people contact me on Facebook saying, they're looking, the one guy sent me a Facebook friend request, and then I went and looked at his profile, and he said he was looking for sexually adventurous women. And I went,
Gosh.
And I clicked the button that says block. And so I blocked him, so now I don't hear from him anymore, and he doesn't see me. So, and I did one time get, because I have my business phone listed on my website and in various places, I got a phone call from some guy who was looking for a date, and then I said, well, actually I've been married for 24 years, so, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, and that was the end of the conversation. So, now I don't, I'm careful about, making sure I have strong passwords. I don't have, I don't publish my birth date, so, for identity theft and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't post when our house is empty so that people know that they can come and rob my house. But, so I am sensible. But, the fact of the matter is, even if I'm not on social media at all, odds are there are bits of you, around the web. Mm-hmm. The phone book now has an online version. Your school may have posted things about graduating classes. If you belong to a nonprofit organization, your name might be up there as, they posted something about this committee and your name is there. So your name is on the web anyway. The key is to be aware of what's going on, be aware it's being said about you, and just make sure that anything that you're posting is what you're comfortable with the world knowing, whether it's your mother, your child, your customers, or complete strangers.
Now, all of these are nice tools for small business owners and entrepreneurs, I'm sure. Now, what they really want to know, I believe, and I want to know this, is how they can generate revenue from this.
Well, I mean, the first thing is you've got to figure out what is your marketing process. So how do you go from the first time somebody hears your name to when they reach into their wallet and become a paying customer of yours? And so when you're on Twitter, it's very unlikely that you are going to post something on Twitter and somebody's going to go, oh, I'm going to hire you right away. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. But you may get somebody following you on Twitter and, as they see your name and see what you're posting and going, oh, this person is really knowledgeable about their business. That's interesting. Maybe I'm going to go check out their Facebook page and see a little bit more about them so they get to know you a little bit better. And then maybe somewhere along the line they go to your website and maybe they sign up for your email newsletter. And each step along the way, they're getting to know you and your business a little better, so that hopefully when the time comes where they say, I need this particular service that you provide, you're top of mind. And that's kind of one of the powers of social media, is it makes them, even people who are complete strangers and have never met you in the real world, because they've seen you on Twitter, they've seen you on Facebook, they've seen your consistent activity, which is hopefully professional and matches the brand of your business, and you're interesting and maybe you're providing valuable information. They feel like they know you. They feel like they trust that you know what you're talking about when it comes to your business, and it makes them more confident to buy from you than if they just went to a Google and searched and got some random company that they know nothing about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Andrea, is this the new way to do business? Because as we talked about before, it used to be somebody would actually knock on your door or just make a cold call. So now they have these tools that are very, I guess, positive and are very effective. So is this what we see now with Facebook and LinkedIn and all these other social media? Is it going to be even different in the future that you can imagine? I mean, what do you think?
I definitely think that this is going to continue and it's going to grow. And certainly 5 years from now, there may be different social networks or different tools that we haven't even imagined yet. But it's definitely the way to go. And if you have a business and you're not online yet, now's the time to do it, because you are just going to get left behind, particularly if you have, clients under 40 really expect you to be on all these platforms. But even more and more people over 40 are going online before they're going to the phone book or before they're checking on the local paper for ads for looking for things. They're going to their social networks. They're either doing searches online or they're asking their other connections, who do you know? And if you're not there, if you're not playing in the online space, people are going to overlook you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, today we've been interviewing Andrea, and Andrea Stenberg, and she's a social media marketing consultant who has a lot of information and really understands social media. So I want to say thank you to Andrea Stenberg for being on the Susan Brender Show. And Andrea, if people want to get to know you, and if you have any books or anything that you want to tell them about, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, certainly my main website is thebabyboomerentrepreneur.com, and if you want to get that free report we were talking about, the 4 ways to quickly get new clients from social media, if you go to thebabyboomerentrepreneur.com/free-report, you can get that for free. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Andrea Stenberg, and if you find me on LinkedIn and send me an invitation to connect and say, Andrea, I heard you on the Susan Brender Show, I promise to accept your invitation to connect.
That's great. Well, my guest today, again, is Andrea Stenberg, and if you want to know more about social media, she's the person you want to go to. So thank you very much, Andrea, for being on the Susan Brender Show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to somebody about social media.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.